everyone. My name is Ross Drysdale. I'm the chairman of Rumbu Holdings. Presenting today with me will be my partner and our president and CEO, Daryl Lockyer, over here. So what about Rumbu? We're a fairly new startup company basically in the funeral home business. We went public on the Venture Exchange. We trade under the trading symbol RMB. We made an initial public offering of 4 million shares. We currently have a little over 13 million shares issued and outstanding. We've now acquired 5 funeral homes, and we plan to acquire a number more, possibly 2 more this year and a number next year. So we're really a funeral home acquisition company, but we operate them. And we do them differently maybe than the big boys like SCI, which is the largest funeral home business in North America. We kind of think that we do it differently because we go into smaller towns, we get involved in the community, we buy these funeral homes from the moms and pops who want to sell them because their kids don't want to take them on anymore. They want to retire. We buy their shares so they can take advantage of the capital gains exemption, up to $1.25 million each. And our funeral home size of purchase runs sort of around $1.5 million to $2.5 million. So we're in the memorial and death care business. Our funeral homes we currently operate are in British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. But we're also going to acquire funeral homes in the next couple of years in Manitoba. And we're going to stick to our Western Sedimentary, our Western Basin, our Western area for the funeral homes that we have. Daryl, who my very successful president and CEO, he has over 50 years of experience in the business, along with his wife, Jamie, who works for us. And I'm going to introduce Daryl now and let him take it from here. It's Mr. Lockyer.
First off, I don't have 50 years experience in here, or I would be one. But I'm very close. I'm 35 years experience in this industry. First off, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to join us today. To see what our company is and what we plan to do and what we've accomplished so far. I'm going to do a fairly short version so that you'll have an opportunity to ask a few more questions. Some of you have already heard me babble on already today. So for some of you, you're going to get a little bit of a repeat. Excuse me. So again, Rumbu started, in all honesty, as a journey more of my wife and I, who's in the back corner. She's a licensed funeral director, 25 years, embalmer as well. Do I need to go close to the mic? I got to stand still. Yeah, sure. So Rumbu came around is years ago. We ended up going into the funeral business, and we had set up a philosophy of the ability to have ownership in funeral homes. And how do we partner? How are we different from the conglomerates out there, from other people doing the same job, same companies? So what we did is we put together a company after we got experience in large corporations, we got experience in small funeral homes, all types of different funeral homes, and we bought and sold funeral homes prior to this. So we do have experience in mergers and acquisitions. We have developed all this through these years. And then Rumbu came along with a gentleman that Ross, as you saw earlier. He's the same gentleman that helped us do all of our deals throughout the last 20 some odd years. And so Rumbu, what we did is we put together a board, a very talented board that Shalina, our CFO, is extremely talented in the public market. Ross is, Jamie and I are funeral directors, not so smart in the TSX aspect. Historical trends, just to give you a snapshot if you haven't done your homework, you know, we've done fairly well. Our growth has been quite aggressive at the beginning, which is impressive. But I think that partially had the scenario that we actually owned funeral homes that we rolled into this company. So what we did is we put all our eggs in this basket to make sure that we're focusing on this company and this company only, and the growth of it. If we look at a recent trend, yes, it's increased immensely, mainly because of the first quarter, 2023 was our first year and we had a loss. 2024, we had half of the same amount lost. So 1.2 million loss in the first 2023, $600,000 loss in 2024. And now we're cash flowing EBITDA quite nicely, and as the trend has changed. With this trend, we've also had a situation where our bank package is going to change. Our debt's going to go from short-term debt to long-term debt, which is going to help us immensely, changing our ratios for the bank. Also with this growth in that, what we've also been able to accomplish is a new bank package and possibly some private placements coming down the pipe. What's our vision? Well, we're a little different. We're in rural middle market communities. So this is an example of a location where you have a mother with 3 kids, wants to partner in a funeral home, has done it for 20 some odd years. And there she is running a funeral home with her experience. Now I get to cheat a little bit. My wife apprenticed her in 2001. We kind of knew her already. And that's sort of the importance of what we're doing, is we're finding these people through our relationships in Western Canada. Hopefully one day moving more into Canada, but we really, really want to stay where we know the people, we know the relationships that we have with all the different funeral directors in each community. So as you can see, as we grow, the more and more people coming into our organization, which gets us to establish more and more people in our opportunity to expand. Our growth model looks to be 5-6 funeral homes a year. Some of you may have a question. You grew, looks good, and then you kind of hit the brakes. Just to give some answers of some questions we've had today. The biggest thing is we wanted to readjust, make sure our cash flow was positive, and to get a more solid bank package to assist us in the growth opportunities that we have. Some of our locations, as an example, we're not in large centers, as you know, but what we do is we find good people, partner with them in each location. Just to give you an idea, the number of funeral homes in Canada is roughly 2,026, with an estimated 60% private. The death care industry in itself is a $1.7 billion a year industry in Canada. I'm just letting him finish his picture. So just to give you an idea, lots of people talk to us about the difficulties of, you know, what's your distance? How many funeral homes can you buy in Western Canada as an opportunity? Well, this is an estimated, it's pretty close. It's showing the independent funeral homes that are possibly in privately owned funeral homes in Western Canada that are privately owned. But what we're also not putting into context there is as large companies go in and they change and restructure their companies, there's a lot of different funeral homes that come up that are coming through SCI, Arbor, other consolidated groups. So it's it just shows you that we do have some great opportunities still in our Western Canada. So I think I'd like to just keep it short. I'd like to hear some questions. And I think if you don't have too many, I can babble on, trust me. So is there any questions at all? Yes.
What do you expect the aggregate of the funeral home industry?
The which, sorry?
The compound annual growth rate.
The compound in our company or in the industry? In the industry is very unique these days. There's a lot of concern in the industry in the aspect of the rising cremation rate. One of the things is when you go more into mid-market or rural areas, what you're going to see is more into traditional area. The difference is your margins are a lot higher when you're in a cremation market. And a lot of the places just don't have the ability to package and market. It's not cranking up the price. It's the ability to buy better. It's the ability to actually have people participate, personalized services. I just want a cremation, right? Just a cremation. Well, there's a big difference between just a cremation and having grandma come in and a chance to view her and a chance for the grandkids, even if they don't want to view, to be able to take some Crayolas and draw pictures and write letters to grandma. But it's just a cremation, right? So the cost is the same. The presentation is different. And if you truly care, like the people in the pictures that you saw, then you're going to do an amazing job in communities in mid-markets. And we believe that with some training and the people that we select already and training, that we have a great opportunity to take this model and keep expanding it. And the difficulty is that we get way better people with the chance to partner than if you're just working in a funeral home. If I'm working in a funeral home and I make $75,000 a year and I'm the manager in a rural market, well, guess what? If we turn around and we give them more because we know they can do more, plus the opportunity of gifting them or promoting them 10% of the company so that they have the money to pay back the amount they get. So it takes a family with 3 kids and all of them are in hockey. How does she afford to buy into that? Well, we gift this program. And so what that does is at the end of the year, she may make $30,000 as a bonus. Well, $130,000 versus $75,000 is a big difference. And so using that basic model is how we plan on striving to get the best people in our industry and people that actually want to go to rural and mid markets. Any others? Yes.
I guess for lack of a better term, sort of the ongoing and recurring like memorial business where, you know, there's headstones, there's care of the plot, there's refreshing and updating of the, you know, items that are placed in the plot of regular.
Yeah, I mean, third stream revenue is totally a different scenario these days. And a lot of the difficulties in the funeral homes that we're acquiring is they haven't been to conventions. They haven't seen what is actually out there. And it's a situation like even doing monuments. Oh, you can just order it. You know, the ability to be a full service funeral home. Sometimes if we've been in the business a long time, we sometimes get a little lazier. Oh, you can just go down and get the catering. You can do this and you can do that. Where doing monuments, pre-planning was huge for years, kind of fell off the wagon. So there's been a gap. So there's a great opportunity to start marketing more of the estate planning. We've incorporated grief counseling. We have all of this as part of our program where little funeral homes don't have those abilities because it costs too much or their relationships, they don't have them. And so that's what we bring is some guidance, some support. And yes, then it gives you that example of definitely increasing the revenues just by doing the services they were doing anyway. Yes, sir. You're a smart man. The synergies are not perfectly set up yet, to be honest. We've actually targeted more of knowing the people in the areas. So part of the growth and part of the reason we're pretty small to go public, right? We probably should have waited till 10 funeral homes. A lot of people say maybe 15. But the difficulty is we're diversified enough so that we can support ourselves, that if one of the locations has a difficulty, we're okay. And we're somewhat close enough to make sure if a hearse breaks down that we can get it there and cover and get through a situation. But our goal is to build better synergies. So if you look at different areas that you're seeing us in, there's a reason for it, not just the people that we're partnering with, but it's also because we believe there's spaces around them, so to speak, that we can create the important synergies. Because one of the big things when you're in a market our size is the ability, if Ross here works at a funeral home an hour down the road and this fine gentleman is the other funeral director, he has to have somebody that works with him. So he pays someone 75 grand and he pays himself 100. Ross pays himself 100 grand. Ross pays someone 75,000. Well, if we get the synergies and we put them together, Ross covers for this gentleman covers for Ross. Now we just saved $150,000, didn't crank up funeral prices for grieving families. No, we're doing it smart. We're doing it through bulk buying. We're doing it through synergies. And yes, we're working on it. Part of our number changes is we're training a lot more people in our facilities to make sure they're ready for our growth. And they do it our way, which is a group of people, what we've learned over time. Thank you. Yes, sir. The main reason for that is Jamie and I, and even Ross, we've been in the industry for a long time, and we have relations with a lot of different people. And a lot of people, you know, I got into a company and I got 10%. Wow, strange model, isn't it? And what ended up happening is I stayed around and I bought and I worked hard. And then the company went in a different direction and didn't keep that 10% ownership program going. So what we want to do is we have a lot of friends, we have a lot of people in the industry that are ready to expand. So now we're really a little early. I totally agree. But because of our new bank package looking, and because of people like yourselves, we're in a position now to ramp it up and grow extremely quickly with people we know and trust. And that's the solid foundation, because people only have a limited time before they find something else or they move on. And we want to make sure that we're utilizing each of these individuals that we believe in to move to certain communities. Yes, and raise capital.
Thank you. Yeah, so we are, one of the reasons to go public, obviously, is so we have the ability to raise capital. And thus far, we, other than the initial public offering, which was $400,000, which was peanuts, we haven't raised any capital, but we will be looking at doing that in the very near future. If we raise the amount of capital I think we can in the first round, that will allow us to move more quickly to acquire more funeral homes faster, because it just puts capital on the table and we can go right in and make the deals happen faster without having to wait for the bank to do their approval. So in all cases, we buy shares. And so we operate each funeral home as a subsidiary. In most cases, as a wholly sub for now. And then with the plan that we have, so why are we different than, I started down the road with SCI, Park Lawn, and the private groups in Canada as well. We don't want to be a top-down operator. Down the road, when we get bigger, we might look at creating a dividend revenue model for our company, because we have recurring, you know, ability to raise capital, and we have recurring revenue in the business. There's not a lot of fluctuations in the numbers. We know how much business each funeral home does from year to year. Daryl?
And I will ask myself my own question, if that's okay. One of the big questions that we were asked at the tables today was, you know, where's your presence? Where's your online presence? What are you doing to promote your shares? And in all honesty, the reason, like Ross was saying, in buying shares in these companies and having a strange name that has nothing to do with funerals or memorials or et cetera, is because we want the people in these communities to be the front. And we have word of mouth and we have the ability to do it. So that's why we're stepping out of our box, going publicly, so that we can talk to people like yourselves. But when we go into these communities, they're our boss, so to speak. We're the casket reps. We're selling urns, because we want those communities to understand that they do run the funeral homes. We help them, but it's their place, because when they believe it's their place, which it is, it's a total difference between an ownership position and somebody that works for you. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a fun question. In simple format, we do percentage of the real estate depending on the size of the community. We do a metric of the multiple of cash flow, generally 2 to 4, depending on the opportunity, depending on the staff, depending on what size of the community it is. So there's a lot of parameters that go in it. So if we go into a community where we know we're moving the competition across the street and partnering with them, we'll be a little more extreme. But we've done the best way. We've kept our purchases extremely cost effective on the basis of our vendor take back program. So every purchase that we do a vendor take back to keep the previous owners interested in supporting our new young people coming in, or the staff member that always worked for them. So our metrics change a little bit, but it's those 3 components, and it's all based on size. Certain properties, you can get a lot more money in certain communities than others. So it's a kind of a floating, and I know it's a question that a lot of people want to know, but it's more just sort of how we feel in those areas to make it cash flow, depends on their cash flow. Just it's a little different, if that makes sense. Yes. You know what? To be polite, I've done it in several other locations of previous companies. Yes, and the best part is then they have because rural funeral homes or mid-market funeral homes can not have someone pass away for a week and then be really busy. So we have more flexible ownership / managers. So it gives them the time to say, can you cover me today? Because Ross is in town, we'd like to do some family time. So we get a better quality of life. We get more balance. Otherwise, our friend here is sitting there competing against Ross and they're fighting over this middle of the area. So what it does is it actually makes the people in those communities have a better quality life. And as we live in a world of more work balance and trying to hire people, it's important. Thank you. Excellent. You got anything to say? Again, thank you so much for taking your time to come. Jamie, do you want to just put some cards at the chair? If there's anything that you wanted to email, ask questions, or even if you have random questions about funeral service that you always wanted to ask, feel free to fire one of us an email.
You can send either of us an email and we'll respond within 24 hours. We're prompt to do that. So
don't ask Ross the funeral questions. Thank you so much.